Cassette Beasts is like one of my favorite games ever. I've been obsessed with this game since the first time I played it, so I'm doing a challenge run. There will be spoilers for the entire game. There haven't been a ton of challenge runs for this game, so I don't really know what exactly the standard is, so I was kind of going off what I think is fair. With that, the rules for the run go as follows. I am only allowed to use bootleg beasts in battle. Bootlegs are basically just like shiny Pokemon, but if they change type. I can record other type of beasts, mostly for the movement upgrades or to have them in my party to learn stickers, but I can only use bootlegs while I'm in combat. The difficulty will be set to recommended for both sliders. It's basically just like playing the game on normal difficulty, and in order to actually call this challenge run complete, I have to unlock the ranger board and watch the credits roll. That's really it for the rules though. I'll be writing the script as I go along through the challenge. I think the early game will be pretty difficult, but once my beasts start to be remastered and hit their later forms, it'll be pretty much smooth sailing until the final area of the game. One thing I do need to remember is to give everyone a bootleg, since something happens in the final battle with what they're holding. And of course, there will be spoilers, and thank you for watching.
Why do we all have to wear these ridiculous ties?
The starting area is pretty much the same as it is for everyone. By the way, I chose Candid Devil. I know it doesn't really matter which starter I choose, everyone would ask. Actually, now that I think about it, comments are good for the YouTube algorithm, so everyone ask anyway. I wonder how many people actually get that reference. So once everything is explained, and I've chugged through a bunch of text boxes, I can finally finish creating my character, and I'll be cosplaying as Dr. Kleiner from the Half-Life series. So once we've gone through the early game stuff, I've learned how to record beasts and to glide, it is now time to start hunting. I just run around in a circle, resting at the campfire to reset spawns. After a while, a beast-type traffic crab is spotted on top of a cliff that I can't access yet. With some jumping and insult calling, it finally comes to fight us. Unfortunately, I forgot that bootlegs are much harder to record than normal beasts. I end up running out of tapes before I can add it to our team. With that crushing loss, I head back to the city to see how much tapes cost before having a conniving idea. In the cafe, there is a mailbox that you can enter codes into to get presents. Thankfully, the code Summertime still worked at the time of recording, so our first member of the team is this lightning-type puppercut. With it, I start grinding resources and finally have enough plastic to afford a few tapes. I am kind of breaking my rules here because I don't have 2 bootlegs yet, but I would consider having one fair enough. With the puppercut in our team, I begin searching once more for another member of our party, finding it in a plastic-type traffic crab. Unfortunately, traffic crab is already a plastic type, so all this does is make it dark red. That's fairly disappointing, but with 2 bootlegs for our 2 party members, we can finally move on. We uncover a train station and fight Morgante, a fight I think we're scripted to win. We also unlock fusion with Kaylee here, turning into this horrible creature. We then burn through Morgante, she empties our head and sings to us, and we head back to town. There, we meet Eugene, another possible party member. I don't really know who I want to use. Kaylee is my favorite, but I might want to give other characters a chance. Felix is really cool, but I know a lot of people also really like Meredith, so maybe I should see why. There's beast-specific bonuses. Don't really matter if we don't have a bootleg of them, so it just might not matter overall. While exploring, I find our first rogue fusion. It's ultimately too tough, so I make the executive decision to run away like a sissy little baby. We then get our Ranger Captain stamp card so we can start hunting them down as well. I then make my way over to Gloucester Road Station, which has a cave in the back. Thinking I might as well grab another party member, I decide to hunt for one. There's a spot where you can go between rooms, basically refreshing spawns every couple of seconds for really fast encounters. So fast, in fact, I sometimes don't even notice the bootleg until I've already hit the button to go back. It was only a Carniviper, so I'm not horribly torn up about it, but Jormungand, I don't know how to pronounce that, and, oh gosh, Mardiusa can be really useful. I don't know how to pronounce half of these names, I'm sorry. Finally, we find our next bootleg in Ice-type Terracotta. This one's actually pretty good, since Terracotta naturally has an ability that buffs it if it's hit by a Fire-type move, and since Ice isn't necessarily weak to fire, but has a reaction, that's pretty good. After doing some leveling, I decided to take on Puppetox, and we are not ready. He smokes us pretty easily, and we could really only tank hits while fused, but he eventually wore us down and it was over. However, Terracucca learns the move Avalanche not long after this. We attempt the fight once more. Avalanche is a move that blocks all melee attacks, allowing only status and range moves to be used. Luckily enough, all of Puppetox's moves are melee, except for his ultimate attack. We get close, but he's just still too strong. Barely. But, okay. I decide to explore the map and get stronger, and while doing so, I go ahead and collect some new overworld moves. I get Electromagnetism, which allows us to climb specific areas, which I use in tandem with the gliding ability to make it to the other side of Harbor Town. There, we're able to find a house that will give us a free bootleg. It ends up being a leafy palm bomb, decent enough, but we get another bootleg palm bomb for free later. In fact, now that I think about it, I'll just probably use that partner as my main partner. Terracucca also gets remastered into Cauldron, and as we try to explore further, this guy jumps out at us and won't allow us to progress further unless we can defeat him. Despite being at a 10 level disadvantage, he only has melee attacks, so using a combination of Avalanche and Southpaw's only ranged move, we eventually take him out. In fact, I make it all the way to the farm with the Jumpkin, having what's probably one of the best overworld abilities in the game, but I realize I don't have enough Skelly Jelly to encounter one, so I decide to leave it for later. I then go ahead and pick up the dash from Bulletino, allowing me to actually move around at a speed faster than a 2004 Toyota Tacoma, and I did a voice crack. I'm going to kill myself. I then pick up the dash from Bulletino, allowing me to actually move around at a speed faster than a 2004 Toyota Tacoma, which I then use to go capture a dive eel so I can enter bodies of water and swim. After a bit more grinding, I rematch Puppetox again, and using a combination of Avalanche and Palm Bomb's range specialization, I think we've got a decent chance. Palm Bomb has Spit to save AP, and Flame to keep us at an even AP level all the time, but I'm mostly focusing on Hot Potato. It puts a bomb on the enemy, which they can only get rid of by using melee attacks. Obviously, they can't get rid of it since Avalanche prevents melee attacks, so I think this may just be my main strategy going forward. Almost 10 minutes of spamming the same set of moves later, Puppetox is finally defeated and we can move on with our lives. Trava Crab is finally able to be remastered, so I go with Lobstacle over Weevilite because I think I'd rather have something tanky on my team to absorb hits. And we already have Palm Bomb, which will eventually become Spitfire, a decent enough ranged attacker. Also, I don't think it'll ever do much on the team. While exploring, I end up using the same system of moves I used to defeat Puppetox on a set of Wild Gelatin and Folklord. Despite being almost 20 levels lower than them, they barely managed to hurt us, and we were able to finally get some Skelly Jelly. Although, while going to use it, I end up in a battle with someone who's level 50. I thought it was a lost cause, but thanks to Avalanche, it could barely hurt us. I then realized I didn't have enough Skelly Jelly still, so I decided to take on the Mega Gelatin Fusion that's right next to it. Want to see me what I just did for that fight again? Want to see me do it again, Squidward? And so finally, with enough Skelly Jelly, I can finally capture a Jumpkin, giving me the best overworld ability in the game. With it, I beeline to this dog at the bottom of the cliff, who I need this ability to recruit as my partner. They join my team and have an Ice-type bootleg Palm Bomb. It's decent enough, especially in a normal playthrough, but I just probably won't ever use it. I already have a Palm Bomb and an Ice-type on the team, and they're a decent enough combo apart. I'll probably just use it as fodder for the battle where every partner will need a bootleg equipped. I then go take on Miss Penny Dreadful for some XP, and I did it damageless first try thanks to Avalanche and her basically setting herself on a death timer thanks to the ghostly status. We can't hurt her, but she'll automatically die after a certain turn limit. With her defeated, I go ahead and take on Avrivor. I don't know how to pronounce half these names. I go ahead and record it here though, giving me access to flying, allowing me to boost myself upwards in the air while gliding. I could basically use this to get over any gap or body of water without issue. I also finally meet up with Eugene, but still ignore him because I'm jealous of his jacket and continue Meredith's quest. We make it to Fall Down Mall and take on our next Archangel, the Nowhere Monarch. Is it Archangel? I always pronounce it Archangel, because that's how it's spelled. But I said that in a voice chat and my friends made fun of me for it, so I think it's Archangel, but I always pronounce it Archangel. I don't know. Now, you're not gonna believe this, but we were able to beat the Nowhere Monarch by spamming Avalanche and Hot Potato. It only ever hit us once with its super attack, and then died the same turn. I mean, it's nice to have an easy Archangel fight for once. I doubt the rest will be as easy though. I don't remember much else about their movesets, but I think the only other one to have mostly melee attacks will be Alice, who I do already have unlocked. Doesn't matter though, we're moving on to the Water Loop Station, featuring my least favorite puzzle in all of video games. By just pressing the buttons in a random order, I eventually get the water moving and unlock both chests. However, while doing the challenge for this station, I stumble upon an Earth-type Fountus. It's not my favorite beast, but honestly, anything will do. It's also a pretty strong ranged attacker, but I don't think I'd ever rather use it over Spitfire. It doesn't matter though, I then go fight Glasstain for some reason. I think I wanted to unlock him in the overworld, but I didn't write the script immediately after playing. I waited till the next morning, so I forgot everything. Next up is Captain Gladiola, who only uses melee attacks. Swapping my partner to Kaylee, we can now make it into Morningtown, where our next Archangel awaits. Morningstar isn't too difficult. It could be hard, but through just spamming Hot Potato and Avalanche, we ended up winning. I also found a Glitter Traffic Crab. I'll probably turn this one into a Weevilite since we already have a Lobstacle, and yeah, it's pretty much dead weight. Up next is Captain Buffy, who has only melee attacks. So yeah, I think Avalanche kind of breaks the game in half, and Hot Potato just makes it easier. Hey, would you look at that? A Fire Carniviper. I think I'll either go for Meridisu, I don't know how to say it, man, and Ouroboros, but most likely the second one. I then finally go ahead and talk to Eugene, and we take on the first Landkeeper base. After we beat them, I ditch him and take my dog instead, and we start wiping out the rest of them. At this point in the game, I'm just kind of doing whatever seems the most interesting. I've unlocked pretty much all the partner stories, so the next one I take on is Viola's. Robin Goodfellow uses mostly ranged attacks, and yeah, just by spamming Hot Potato, he was taking out the same turn he used his super move. We then immediately move on to Alice, who has only melee attacks. Then the Spirit of Conquest, who's dressed up like a British soldier, what did Cassette Beasts mean by this, shows up, sends me to another realm, and then a house that's also a ghost, that's also an Archangel, sends me back to New World. Our next fight is the Hecahedron, who has mostly only ranged attacks. This might seem bad since it'll be constantly hitting us, but we have Hot Potato. It never even got to use its super powerful attack. Now that I had gotten 6 out of 8 parts of the song, I decided to follow it and... No way. You can find it early. That's so cool. Okay. Well, I guess I found Knightsbridge Station already. Now, I won't attempt it yet, but I don't really need to do any more Archangel fights. I'll probably still attempt one, but based on the rules set, I don't even really have to do the partner stories. I probably will still do them for the XP, though. There's a pretty tough fight coming up I don't think I'll be able to win. So hey, Glass Startergrade. I will never use this. Captain Zed is next on the chopping block, and while his assistant in the fight does like to use range attacks, Zed himself uses the Startergrade line, so he's basically just a sleepy stall machine. It's a first attempt victory. Captain Lodestein is next, and he mostly focuses on ranged attacks. His assistant only uses melee though, so after taking them out, it's a 2v1 that's pretty easily winnable. I mean, hey, we're right here, so let's also go ahead and take on Captain Cody. He is just like us, also only using bootleg tapes. His assistant Apocalypse focuses on support and damage, while Cody will change our tapes around and hit us hard. He took out a good chunk of our team before we finally beat him up. Alright, we're on a roll. Let's just take out Cleo next. She focuses on using Gambit, raising her stats a ton but automatically KOing her after 3 rounds. She ended up going through most of my team, but we were able to outlast her. Also, she is easily like a top 3 character in this game. Cleo's a really cool character. I hope we get to see more of her in, like, whatever DLC comes after Peer of the Unknown. Next captain on the slaughter list is Skip, and he actually hits pretty hard with Bit Invasion. I pretty much turned Carniviper into Ouroboros for this fight, but I think I'll just keep a mostly ranged attack team going forward. In fact, after beating up Captain Skip, I go ahead and buy the gym membership and some stat points to buff it up even further. I doubt I'll ever max out my stats though. The grind for fused material is insane, and I'm so tired of fighting rogue fusions. I go ahead and start Felix's quest, fighting the Kirikiri, which is one of the best designs in the game. It's a shame I probably won't use one in this playthrough. We then meet Kuneko, the half-angel, half-devil, purple ninja cat girl who's on a quest to unite the 4 elements within herself. Obviously, that's awesome, so of course we help her. And on the journey, we run into Cody. These monsters have elemental types associated with them. When you change those types, things start to get real interesting. Yes, I am aware of that fact. I also make a quick pit stop to take on Captain Sybil, who gave us a bit of trouble, but it really wasn't too bad. We then find the last altar, Phoenix lets us use a Bears of Kuneko, whatever. We fight. Cosmic Kunai is basically guaranteed to destroy whatever tape is active at the time if it isn't at full health, but we are barely managing to scrape by this fight. She dies to a burn, while we have a single tape remaining in our possession. Now let's just go ahead and finish out some more partner quests. I take Eugene to the Landkeeper HQ and we fight Mammon, who ends up taking out Dr. Kleiner, but Eugene survives on the last turn as Hot Potato finishes the fight. I think all that's left is the final 3 Ranger Captains, the boss fight for that storyline, and the boss fight that's through the mirror. I am honestly really surprised this run has gone as smoothly as it has, especially recently. The beginning was super rocky, but Avalanche and Hot Potato really started to carry us. That Ice Terracotta seemed to be the dream encounter for the run. Hey, bootleg Scoobalrus, that's part of a fusion. It doesn't matter though, Babylith time. Whilst it doesn't only use melee moves and actually has several ranged attacks, it's still fairly tame in comparison to the other fights. First try. So let's just go ahead and clear out the captains before taking on the mirror. Captain Wallace is pretty easy, Captain Judas is pretty easy, and Captain Heather put up more of a fight, but we were still able to beat her on the first try. I show off to Ianth that I've gotten all of the captain stamps and we launch into the boss fight for this storyline. Ianth and Wilma are a powerful duo, and we're about 10 levels below. Ianth focuses on dealing out insane damage, while Wilma is more of a support character. I don't really know if we can win this now, but I decide to go ahead and put Wilma to sleep, meaning she can't use her support moves. It works, and her first tape eventually falls to a Hot Potato who could have seen that coming. Ianth and Wilma are just tearing through my team though. By the time I take out Ianth's first form, Wilma's last tape is at only just a sliver. They fuse, something human bosses will actually do from now on, but I don't think we'll see it in the run. I'm not doing any of the post-game stuff. Yeah, I don't think we'll see it. No matter, once they fuse, they have 5 turns of sleep, so I'm free to just hit them until they fall. Southpaw's vengeful curse rolling sleep on both of them was a real lifesaver here. I'm actually really surprised we were able to win that on a first attempt, but now that means I'm a Ranger Captain. And also, my controller died. Well, now on to Knight's Bridge Station, the final area of the game. There's 2 sides with puzzles and a fusion to fight to progress. The first fusion was pretty difficult, but we were able to come out on top by just laying on damage. At this point, there's really no point in using Avalanche. Pretty much everything has a good mix of attacks, and we're better off just using both team members to just hit them hard. The second fusion boss fight is much easier, but with that, I need to go hunt for more bootlegs. Up next is the part of the game where everyone needs to have a bootleg equipped, or else the battle is considered forfeit under these rules. I find a poison traffic crab, something I spent over 4 hours hunting for on my main save file. That's really cool. A metal carniviper, and an ice spring heel. With all of those, I equip them to everyone, and now it's time for the boss fight. We decided to take on a left, and hold on, let me try a different combination. It's honestly a pretty difficult fight. He can hit us hard and is constantly changing his type around. Ultimately, the power of this horrible fusion, don't use this one ever, takes him down, and he decides to take the Merline, the innards of New World itself, through the portal between realities. We all jump onto the train, and this is the fight that everyone needed bootlegs for. Yep, it is for a single fight where I don't even get to control them, and they probably quickly die. Aleph fuses with every Archangel, and we just begin to wail on him. At about half health, he breaks our cassette player, but Morgante shows up and offers her power. Everyone fuses together, and with a single Coda Morgana, we destroy Aleph's body and return back to New World. Everyone says their goodbyes and leaves through the portal. We go ahead and go last, taking Barkley with us back to our reality, and credits roll. I'm honestly surprised how easy this challenge became near the end. I expected it to be much more difficult, but it was just really only hard in the early game. It kind of just became a snowball. Once we got going, we kept going. There were definitely some hard fights, but I'm surprised I didn't have to attempt any fight more than like 3-5 times, I think. Ice Cauldron's Avalanche and Plant Spitfire's Hot Potato swept most of the early game, but then Fire Ouroboros and Ground Fountas helped with the latter half. It was a really fun and interesting challenge. By the way, I'm also going to be streaming the Peer of the Unknown DLC on October 4th when it comes out, probably here on YouTube. I'm also working on a huge video about this game. It's already over 30 pages long and goes in depth on the story and everything. Devs or anyone who worked on the game, if you're watching, hit me up. I'd love to do like an interview or something. But that's all for today though. Thanks for checking out this run, and I hope to see you again soon. I'd love to do another Cassette Beasts run, so if you've got any ideas, let me know.